And joining us for commentary on last night's mayoral debate is Mike Leon, NTD News contributor and the host of the Can We Please Talk podcast, as well as John Deaton, an attorney with Deaton Law Firm and a former federal prosecutor. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Mike, let's start on your overall reactions, and then we'll drill in on a few specifics. Your thoughts?
Yeah, good morning to everybody. Good debate last night, good, healthy debate. I thought there was moments of, animosity, then there was moments of, how is that feasible? And then there was moments of, really? So there was a mixed bag of emotions. But I thought the standard thing for me is everything that just played in that package there, which I thought that package kind of summarized a bunch of New Yorkers over 60, maybe one or two people that are in their 40s that lean in different directions, and then one student who's kind of unsure, right? And that's, I think, the takeaway for New Yorkers right now. Do you want somebody who doesn't have true experience on their resume, but has some different ideas that they want to try in City Hall? Do you want somebody who's done some experience at the governor level, but has had some scandal and controversy? Or do you want somebody who's been in New York politics for over, 25, 30 years, but has never really held any serious position in Curtis Silwa? So those are the choices for New Yorkers. It is an important race, like that guy said in the package, because I think it is a zoom out to what could potentially lead in 2026 with respect to all the elections that are going to be happening in the House and Senate.
Great point, a microcosm of what could come in the midterms. John, your thoughts on last night's debate?
Yeah, I would agree with Mike. Listen, I think that if you were a Mamdani fan, that he did what he had to do. I don't think he lost anything. I think he came off much consistent like he has. Andrew Cuomo, tried to take shots at his inexperience, with the line that you've never held a job. Your resume has you interned for your mom. And, a lot of people watching who are common sense, sort of like Curtis, but they know he doesn't have a chance. And so I actually feel bad for New Yorkers this morning after watching the debate and the choices they have.
Yeah, you bring up that point. In some ways, in a New York race, it almost seems like the Republican candidate is sort of not the one that's the third party candidate. It's sort of the independent versus the Democrat. Mike, affordability was one of probably the top two things, and we'll get into crime. It's also tied, of course, to maintaining the corporate tax revenue and not having an exodus of capital. Mamdani's calling for expanding programs such as free buses. Silwa and Cuomo painted Mamdani as either disingenuous or naive. But Mamdani, as John pointed to, was able to stay smooth and practiced in his communication. Who do you think came out strongest in terms of affordability in the city and keeping revenues in the city?
It's a great question because, Carrie, the thing is, I don't live in New York anymore. I grew up in New York my entire life. Where do I live right now, Carrie? I live in Miami, Florida.
Example. That's right. What we're talking about.
But let's go into why, Carrie. In 2020, during the pandemic, New York started to open up and get rentals back in, and they were offering 15 to 18-month lease with no rent increase. And the apartment that I was living in was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I was paying $3,300 a month for me and my family of 4. That apartment is now $5,700, Carrie, on Zillow. You can look it up. It's 540 West 50th Street for folks out there. So that is what Mamdani has been campaigning on when he walked all the way down from the top of Manhattan all the way down to the bottom. There's an affordability crisis for people. And this is the reason why he has won so many districts of black and brown voters, whether it be Crown Heights or Prospect Heights, anywhere in Brooklyn, the Bronx, where I grew up. He has won those areas because he's talking about the affordability crisis. My paycheck hasn't gone up. Rent is not, for the rent stabilized units, that's different. He's talking about for new units, there is just folks that want to make a profit and they're overcharging in different areas and we can't afford to live there. So what do we look to do? For people like me, that has family in Florida, you can move to Florida. But what I think he has talked the most about the affordability crisis. And again, he has drilled into the fact that he's been an assemblyman. Cuomo has actually done things at the governorship level to help New York City with the affordability crisis. So it goes back to what John was mentioning, right? Like, do you want the experienced candidate who has tried certain things that has actually signed legislation and worked with New York City on their budget? Or do you want somebody who has some ideas that maybe don't make fiscal sense and won't get buy-in from the Tenants Association or the Renters Association? Like, those are the things that New Yorkers have to choose with. And back to John's point, Silwa is a typical guy who, like, if he wasn't so in politics for forever, like adjacent to it with the Guardian Angels, I think he would have a fighting chance. But he has this connotation that he's just not as serious to be taken as a candidate. This episode of Can We Please Talk is presented by our friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Delicious tasting coffee since 2009. They've been our proud sponsor. You see the promo code there. Look at this. They sent me this beautiful kit right here. Listen to that. Listen to that seal coming out, right? What's in it? Environmentally safe, compostable K-Pods. I love the dark Mexican blend. You can go to their website right now, take the quiz. That quiz is going to put you with a flavor profile. Listen to that sound of the coffee that you're going to be matched up with. Go to freshroastedcoffee.com. Click the link right now in our show notes. You can see it right there. Click that link. It's going to take you to the site. When you get to checkout, use our promo code, Can We Please Get 20? All one word, Can We Please Get 20, 20. You're going to get 20% off your first purchase. Head to freshroastedcoffee.com, our official sponsor of the Can We Please Talk podcast.
Yeah, he probably had the best idea on the stage in terms of increasing supply of housing quickly in converting unused, corporate space. But John, just as we're starting to run short on time, I really want to get to public safety. I think one moment that really stuck out for me was where Mamdani compared a program in Eugene, Oregon, which is essentially a college town in a mostly rural state. And Silwa immediately was like, hey, that's not going to work here in New York. But, they brought up prostitution, they brought up the mental health crisis, all though related to public safety. Who do you think came out atop on that one, John?
Well, listen, I think Curtis actually won it on substance. And this is the weakest spot for Mamdani. I would say it's the softest spot. He actually was a defund the police person, his criticism of the police, and that he believes that more police doesn't equal more safety. I certainly agree with him that we have a mental health issue for people in the subways. They need to be addressed. But this is the weakest spot. I mean, he wants to stick on affordability. No one's going to touch Mamdani on affordability issues. But on crime, I think it's his weakest issue. And I was hoping, or not hoping, was thinking, expecting Cuomo to drill that home more. And I thought it fell flat, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I see your point there. And Mike, in terms of Trump having a big part of the debate, Mamdani said he will resist Trump, but Cuomo pretty eloquently said if you're elected, that's what's going to lead to a more Trumpian. Basically, you're electing Trump as mayor. Did that land, do you think?
If it landed, Mamdani's winning the election because Donald Trump just won in 2024, Kerry. I mean, and everyone has compared their political rise talking about affordability issues and going to poor voters, let's be honest, and saying, I can do something for you. But I thought the biggest exchange, there was a bunch. Obviously, we didn't even talk about Israel and Gaza and stuff like that. And again, 5,600 miles New York City is from Israel. So why are we asking the mayor about that? We can get into that later. But the big thing that I noticed yesterday was about this push and pull of the National Guard and sending troops. John knows this as a lawyer. I've interviewed a lot of former federal prosecutors about the National Guard being deployed to cities. LA was different because they were protecting federal property and protecting ICE agents and enforcement. Chicago, there's like a little bit of a divergent there, right? When it comes to New York, neither of them, as mayor of New York City, would be able to protect from National Guard troops being deployed if there is a federal asset that needs to be protected. That is something that both of them can't do anything about. So it's politics just saying that you would be able to protect the city from Donald Trump because it depends on the circumstance, right? It depends on the actual issue, cutting off federal funding and things like that. There are certain things that are not within the mayor's purview to be able to handle the president of the United States at that level. So a lot of grandstanding last night on that stage when we all know none of them would have any type of power as mayor, depending upon the situation of why the National Guard troops would be deployed in New York City.
And just, John, as we finish up in the last 10 to 20 seconds, there were several attempts by the moderators to give them opportunities to kind of show their personality, sports questions, what they spend on rent. Did anybody, in your view, come out the warmest on that?
I think that Curtis Silva was the most sincere New Yorker on stage who loves New York. But, I think Mamdani did what he had to do to secure this victory which is in a couple of weeks. And it really comes down to that affordability issue. And I think politicians across the world, America, need to pay attention because, people are hurting out there. That affordability issue, if you tell people, listen, if you have cancer and a doctor tells you I can cure your cancer, you're going to listen. If people can't pay their groceries, if they can't afford their rent, and someone comes along charismatic and says, I can fix that for you, people are going to pay attention to them.
Indeed. Affordability and certainly public safety, probably that among the top 2 to 3 issues here. Mike Leon, John Deaton, great to see you guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Mike Leon from the Can We Please Talk podcast. Thank you so much for watching this clip. Do me a favor. Hit subscribe. Going to get more content from us over at Can We Please Talk.